Let's welcome Amena Bakr, Deputy Bureau Chief and Chief OPEC Correspondent of Energy Intelligence. Amena, the whether which way you cut the cake on this, the Saudi oil minister was well aware of making those comments. They were going to be supporting the oil price. And we were all, it's not like $90 is a low oil price. So my question to you is, what oil price should we expect that OPEC Plus are willing to defend as we go into the fourth quarter?
Hi, Sean, and good morning to everyone. I think it's not about prices, really, Sean. It's not about setting a price. As you said, the price is at a good level. This is more about reducing volatility. Saudi Arabia, like other Gulf states, don't want to see these sharp contrasts in price. They don't want to see overly bearish or bullish news.
Well, maybe then they shouldn't come out and say they're going to cut supply and put $10 on the oil price in 3 days.
Okay, that was a side effect of what happened, but you can see.
Oh, come on, the Saudi oil minister is long in the tooth to know that his comments were going to be fuel. I mean, that's
Sean,
clear.
His concern is not about short-term prices. And you know that Saudi Arabia is playing the long game here. They want to ensure energy security, and they want to make sure that investments flow into the upstream sector. And they want awareness, like Carol was saying, to be out there, that more spare capacity is needed in order to have this long-term energy security. So the byproduct of course, the comments came and a cut was suggested, but however, like his main objective was trying to reduce this level of volatility and not having the constant yo-yoing of the market. That's the biggest concern to Saudi Arabia at the moment.
Just picking up on the earlier point, obviously the outlook, the market reporting in the subsequent days has been OPEC, and I know Energy Intelligence has also reported other countries supporting the Saudi position, sort of giving extra wind in the sails to that sort of sense that supplies could be cut. My question to you is just for the point of clarity, if you have the understanding, was Saudi Arabia indicating, do you think, as they did, I think it was January 21, where they made the unilateral cut to stabilize the market, or are they looking on this occasion that it would be a kind of a across the board OPEC 20 cut?
Sean, I just want to clarify something, that OPEC plus unity at this point in time is the top priority, keeping all these members together. So any kind of unilateral action is not something that Saudi Arabia or other Gulf producers would consider. So any action needs to be agreed on by the entire group. So when we talk about an option of an increase or a cut or whatever it is, it has to be done by the entire group. So I don't expect any kind of unilateral action. But at the same time, Sean, I mean, we saw that the increase that happened last time was symbolic. Perhaps, I mean, they will come up with an idea. I mean, it was even hinted that this cut may come in different forms. And you know how OPEC could get very creative with their policies. So bear in mind that it might be something very symbolic and just sending a signal to the market. On Narendra's point about demand destruction, I mean, Prince Abdulaziz made it clear that this level of volatility really impacts traders and the industry in hedging. And this impacts industrial activities. We've seen lots of industries in Europe shutting down. So this is what he's worried about, industries shutting down because of lack of hedging in oil markets and accelerating a recession. And that to him impacts demand.
Just to pick up on that point, I mean, it's the reason I asked the question is because obviously the oil markets have reacted quite dramatically in the last few days to the idea of a cut. Because if it's not a Saudi unilateral cut, anything else is clearly just, smoke and mirrors, because OPEC plus is quota level is what, 2 or 3 million barrels above their actual production. So a cut from quota would be would be an empty idea, because there's obviously they're not producing at those levels. So it seemed that the market was reacting perhaps to the idea that Saudi was willing to do this by themselves. That was kind of my thinking there.
No, I don't think so. I don't think they will do something by themselves. I think it was, I mean, they're still waiting to discuss it with the group. I think if they were going to do this by themselves, why not announce it now? As I said, like, top priority is the keeping unity within the group. And you're right. Yes, there is a problem. There's a big problem with the quota system, but our understanding is that is not going to be discussed this year at all. They're going to keep the current system at least for 2022. So any decision, I mean, we saw like the impact of the increase was symbolic. Perhaps, I mean, they will come up with a new idea for the cut if this is the direction they're going in. Again, it would be a symbolic sign to the market.
Amena, I wanted to get your thoughts on the news overnight that the US government has replied to the latest sort of initiative by Europe to find an agreement on the JCPOA. How imminent do you think that is, and what kind of real impact could it have on the oil markets, oil supply?
For sure, Sean. I mean, the news of more Iranian barrels coming into the market have also had an impact on prices, bringing them lower. So that's the kind of sentiment which drove prices lower in recent weeks. But what we've been hearing is that, I mean, even before the U.S. replied, we understood that this is not going to be the final approval from the U.S. or the green light to finally sign the agreement. Negotiations are still ongoing, and our understanding is that this deal is not going to happen anytime soon. It's hard to say if it would happen at all, but it's still very complicated and less imminent than some people make it out to be. Of course, if the Iranian barrels come into the market, that's a new dynamic for the OPEC Plus group to consider. I mean, we've seen Iranian officials say that they're not going to accept any kind of quota before they return their production to pre-sanctioned levels. So I don't.
Was that the case in 2015, 16 as well? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. They don't accept any quotas before they return their production. So that's something the group needs to deal with. It's hard to say what will happen because things are so uncertain.
I mean, I wanted to get your thoughts in wrapping up about OPEC action. You said there earlier that you don't expect OPEC Plus to even look at quotas this year. They're continuing with their virtual meetings. I believe they've indicated, the new Secretary General, that they could meet in person in December. And the Saudi minister did say, and part of his commentary, I think, if I got it correct, that OPEC Plus would be looking to formulate a new agreement because the current one is expiring. So my question is, what do you expect them to do in September? I mean, the idea that it's just going to be a rollover, that everything is going to be pushed to next year. What's your expectation for OPEC action other than what is currently the status quo?
It's really difficult to say, Sean. I mean, a lot of the people that we've spoken to are even saying it's too early to say definitively what action will be taken. But just know this, they will reach a decision unanimously. They will make sure that everyone is united, because that's long term. Their game is to continue managing the market, so they need to reach an agreement which will be okay with everyone. As I mentioned before, I don't expect them to touch the quota system yet. This is something perhaps that they will look into in 2023. Previous ways they managed to get around this, and this was just OPEC alone, by having a collective ceiling. Instead of individual quotas for countries, they could just agree on a number, and whoever could produce would just contribute to that number. So that is one way of going around the quota system. But for now, Sean, it's really difficult to say. We are still, again, waiting to see what will happen with Iran, where prices go from here. And yeah, let's see what happens on the 5th of September.